This is Talk About Topeka on Gab Local TV and TV 25. This episode brought to you by Field of Greens and The Break Room. And here's your host, Chris Schultz.
All right, so here we're going to talk a little bit about communications. You see how that works there? See what I did? We're talking about communications, Giant Communications, specifically with Paul Moseley from Giant Communications. How are you?
Very good. How are you?
Hey, great to have you here to tell us all about what's going on with Giant Communications. Relatively new to this area, but you've been in Kansas for a long time, right?
Right. We've been in Kansas for 57 years.
All right, so tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, what Giant Communications is a telephone, voice, and system and internet service that we're bringing to the Topeka market. Just entered the Topeka market the 15th of last month. Signed my first customer yesterday.
All right.
So I'm pretty excited about that. That's Integrity Insurance and Marshall Dolly over there. And so we're off and running.
Awesome. Okay, so you're doing businesses is what you're specialized in.
We do small and mid-sized businesses primarily.
Okay. And so they're a range of communication needs that these folks need. So what, let's say for my small business, I'm just getting into small business, I need some communication tools, or I've been in it for a while, maybe I want to think about it. What's the process there?
Here's the process. Everything that we look at so far, and I've been in the industry 40 years, is the salesman comes in and starts talking to you about what the technology does in the telephones and the services. And as an individual, you really don't want to learn all that. What you want to know is what's good for your business. So what I'd like to do is come in with a hometown touch, understand your business, your needs, how you gather leads, how you get customers, what expenses you're facing with, and what keeps you awake at night. And then it's up to me with my 40 years experience to take 400 features that are built into our system and pick out the 5 or 6 that are right for you.
So what kind of communications needs do the small businesses have other than I need a phone line? What kind of services might, of those 500 things, what might I not be thinking that you guys would be doing?
Well, everybody thinks about telephone service, okay? And in the small business, cell phone is starting to play a big part in that. So there's a disconnect between your home business or your business office and the telephone system and what you have with your cell phone. What we do is marry those two things together so that they work for you instead of fighting you all the time. Excellent. And you don't have to go in and keep checking two things instead of doing what your business is and working with your customers.
And what about internet services or anything like that?
Internet services, we provide high-speed internet. We do that to support our hosted voice services, which come over the internet, which is a little different than what people are used to around town.
Yeah.
You won't see the cable coming to your house, you'll see the internet coming to your house.
Interesting, very cool. Okay, so what about other communications needs? Like I know you'd mentioned that in other parts of the state you have different things that you've been doing for a longer time, some of the more rural areas. Right. And what other kind of features do you have out there?
Well, we do a lot with conferencing now because everybody wants to get involved in that, from the big screen to the Skype that you're familiar with, to other ways of communicating on a conference call basis. We do a lot of call forwarding features, call waiting, so that you don't miss that call that you've been working on with Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and everything else, and you finally generated the call, and it comes to you and gets busy. So what we do is try to stop that and give it a place or a home to go to so that you ensure that you get that business.
Now you've been doing the communications for a long time. How's the industry changed? I mean, we obviously know the internet has changed a lot of things, but how has this industry changed specifically since you started?
Well, it's like I say, is the mobility of it. Everybody wants it in their hand now. They don't want it on the desk. They don't want to be hooked by a cord. They don't want to be strapped down. They don't want to have to go to the phone and find their voicemail and dong around with everything that's out there to try to get basic communications. They also want to keep track of their people.
Shop
in the coffee shop.
At work still.
And you want people to be mobile now, which they are, but while they're mobile, it's a good idea to keep track of where they are. It's a good way to communicate back and forth in a hurry so they don't miss calls. You can set up your cell phone so that it'll ring your office or home. So I can set the hours of the day that I work and maybe relieve some of the stress instead of having my cell phone out there in everybody's hand. I can control it with my telephone system, and between 8 and 5, go ahead and pass it through to the cell phone, and after 5, maybe I don't want that. Maybe I want a good voicemail system instead.
Isn't that important? I mean, it seems like communications can really just bog you down if you don't.
It can
really
bog
put
you
a
down, or
control
it
on
can give you quality of life. And what
Yeah.
I try to sell is a hometown touch and a quality of life.
Absolutely, absolutely. So 57 years in Kansas,
Right.
altogether, Giant Communications, and 48 counties that you have been operating
48
in?
cities.
48 cities, okay.
Right.
So 48 cities, and just new to the Topeka area. Are you in the Lawrence, Kansas City area at all?
We are looking at Lawrence, but our main goal right now is to work with Topeka customers.
Okay.
To bring high-speed internet into Topeka.
You have a
And-
fiber backbone as well,
Yes.
that you were
We
telling
have-
me a little
We
bit.
have a fiber backbone. We own 25% of the Kansas fiber network, which routes all around the state of Kansas. Most of your rural cable and telephone companies are on the Kansas fiber network. So it's been there and established for a long time with a lot of backup capability.
Wow, it's amazing, and even that technology has changed
You
quite
bet.
a bit over the last couple of years even. Yeah, very
Right.
cool. Well, I want to thank you so much, Paul Moseley, coming to talk to us from Giant Communications for any of your needs, communication needs, small business needs there for communications. This guy right here has got the experience to take care of it for you. Give him a call, send him an email. Paul@giantcom.com is the email for him, or you can find out at giantcom.com is their website. So check that out as well. I really do appreciate you coming on the show today.
All right.
And making sure we can communicate with our viewers here
You
all
betcha.
across Northeast Kansas. So thank you very
Thank
much,
you very
Paul.
much.
You bet. And get with this guy. He'll take care of you.
This episode brought to you by Field of Greens and The Break Room, because TV 25 cares.